All right, we have week 6 of the semester. Boy, it flies by. I hope you're all doing good. This week we kick off chapter 3 of the Lore of Running. Boy, I really like this chapter, and I know I talk about how Noakes's perspective has changed regarding nutrition and endurance performance. However, I'll also tell you that this pendulum of what to eat during or before an endurance event continues to swing back and forth between focusing on fats and focusing on carbohydrates. And so there's still a lot that we don't know about what to take in during endurance performance. And I will have some sports nutrition presentations on here. And I'll also have a interview with someone who focuses on fats specifically for endurance performance. And then this chapter is probably more focused on carbohydrates the way it's written right now. So you'll get that broad spectrum. And I think it's really important to really take a step back and think about the physiology that will drive what type of fuel the person will need. That's critical for our chapter. As I say in my presentations, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a sports nutritionist. I do rely on nutritionist expertise to help me make decisions and what to eat and drink during an endurance event. But I am careful that I do not profess to be a nutritionist in any way. So a lot of the work that we're going to be covering from this chapter will be more about glucose and fats from a high level perspective, looking down as opposed to a real fine level where you start talking about different types of carbohydrates, different sources of carbohydrates, different types of fats, sources of fats, things like that. All right, so we won't dial all the way down into those details, but hopefully by going into this perspective of from the athlete perspective in terms of what to eat, hopefully it ties together your physiology with endurance performance. So I'm going to start off this week with just 2 videos from chapter 3. This chapter 3 is packed with information, and we're gonna work our way through it. And so just 2 presentations here from Lore of Running. And then I have 2 presentations that are more the interview video podcast type of series. So putting nutrition advice in motion. You can watch these in either order. We actually did this one here, the nutrition one first, and then we did the advice in motion one second, even though I've listed them this way. This is Ted Gerard and I and myself talking about how we approach nutrition. And then this is with our UNLV sports nutritionist, Nicole Kiley, and she has some really good information to cover in here. Now, remember, these types of presentations are not necessarily test questions. You're not really going through these presentations saying, oh, what's going to be on the test? You're looking at these presentations more at how am I applying this type of material to understand endurance performance. So as you hear discussions of glucose, if you hear energy systems, make sure that you know your energy systems. Make sure you know glycogenolysis, things like that. That's the physiology that you're trying to cover in these presentations. For the exam, these types of video podcasts will give context for questions. All right, so that will be applying your physiology and nutrition information you're getting in this chapter to real world situations. Keep your terminology list. I've got the assignments set up. Here's A6 uploaded, and it always has a terminology list. There's no right or wrong to that terminology list. I encourage you to put down terms that you don't know, but I really encourage you to put down terms that you do know, and make sure that you do go back and just take a second to look terms up and make sure that you've got the definition down. Equations, if there is one, or more than one, and units, if there are units for a particular parameter. And a lot of these terms, you won't have equations or units, but it's still good to keep that in mind, that if there are equations and units, you can put those down. All right, so, even things like calorie, joule, things like that, you're going to want to be sure you understand what the definition is or are in those cases for those work. Those are terms that come up in this type of material. So keep your terminology list, and that's for you. I'll look at them and I'll see what you're writing down. That helps guide me in terms of content that I'm covering and what maybe I missed. But your terminology list is for you, and there's no right or wrong way to go about it. Okay, we're going to keep this semester project moving along. And this week, what I want you to focus on is this innovation idea. What's innovation? Well, it's undefined, and it can be anything related to your semester project. It could be a new product. It could be a new application. It could be a software. It could be just an idea. It could be a service offered to somebody. It can take lots of different forms. And as you listen to some of these videos that we do, these video podcasts, you might actually hear some of the innovative ideas that we try to draw out from our guests or in our conversations. We'll talk about this during our week 6 meeting, where I'll meet with your group one-on-one, if you will. But you want to do something that is unique. Now, I try not to define it too much. I try not to give it too much constraint or put parameters around it, because I want you to have the freedom to come up with ideas and apply what you're learning or what you've learned to your semester question, and then come up with unique approaches to either answering or something related to your question. All right, so you'll do your semester project 6 document, you'll upload that, but then also create a shared document within your group portal. So you can each list your innovation idea, and then you'll have a list of ideas that you can take a step back and say, okay, let's focus in on this one. Or maybe these two are really good to highlight, okay? They don't need to be in depth. They don't need to be a major part of the presentation. But I do want us to be thinking outside the box in terms of the answer to the semester question. And then at the end of this week, we'll do exam 2, which is on chapter 2. All right, so none of this material will be on exam 2. I'll post the exam on the Friday of week 6, and it will be on chapter 2 in the material that we covered in those weeks. Okay, I think that's it for chapter 6 overview. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks.